was fast but slow at the same time. We're really excited for the opportunity to go into two pretty crazy environments and two pretty good teams and see what we can do and how we can compete. Team's been playing hard. We had a good day of practice today. Excited to get after it for another couple days before we travel. So we're pumped. We're excited. That's just a great opportunity to compete. So
I see a ton of newcomers on the team, a lot of them freshmen. I mean, you guys played at Kentucky, but what's going to be like their first time in that type of environment on the road in the Big Ten?
Yeah, it's going to be tough on them, I think. And I think Brianna is a prime example of that. She had to go in last year and play in front of some rowdy crowds. And they're dropping the Big Ten championship banner when they play us and all that kind of stuff. So I think the more we can steady out mentally, I think the better we'll be. It'll be a good test for the young kids and the transfers too, who haven't played in such crazy environments to see what we can do. It's hard to simulate. Kentucky, they didn't have that many people there, so we haven't really played in front of a huge crowd yet, besides our own. But I think the kids are pumped. They're excited to get in there and try to win. So
I know last year you mentioned Brianna, especially that Nebraska match where she kind of had to get acclimated to playing in that environment. I mean, how much more confident is she now, especially going into her second year?
I think she is. I think she's a lot more confident. I think she knows what to expect now. Going into the Big Ten, you always hear about how great the environments are and how good the teams are, and I think going into it now, she kind of knows what it's going to be. And we have 9 people who have been through it too. So we have those 9 people to help the newcomers kind of know what to expect. And you don't really know until you're in it, and you kind of have to just do your best once you're in it.
What's the key to this weekend, coming out with 1 or 2 victories?
Yeah, I think I just talked to the team about it. It's just playing free with no pressure, right? We kind of go in there with nothing to lose. And just see what we can do, you know? And I'm excited just for the opportunity to see how well we can compete with these teams. I don't think we're that far off, to be honest. I think when we play clean and we play the way we know how to play, I think, it's kind of on us. And I think, we're really excited, like I keep saying, and it's just going to be a great opportunity.
What have you seen from Bailey? This is obviously your second year. You've coached her, but this season, she had to step into libero when Haley was out. And when Haley's back, she's still kind of contributing with a lot of digs and everything. So, how has she kind of progressed in your eyes from last year to this year?
Yeah, I think one thing, she's being a great teammate. I think she's pushed Haley to be as good as Haley can be just because she's right there on her heels all the time. And she is cheering for everyone. When she's on the bench, she's on the court. She's just a great teammate and a great example for what someone should be if you're kind of competing for a spot. I think she continues to get better every day. She works her butt off every single day. And I think it's a really cool thing to see for the younger kids to be like, hey, that's someone who broke the school dig record last year, and now she's fighting for this job, and she's still being positive, and she's a great teammate and works hard every single day. So she's progressing. Her skills are good. She's a good volleyball player. But I think mentally she's improved so much more.
How important do you think it is for Haley to have had someone like Bailey to kind of help her out and getting adjusted to that role?
Yeah, I think it's great. Similarly with Fitzner and Tori, I think they've been able to learn from each other, and same thing with Haley and Bailey. Being able to learn for each other has been great, and competing is good. Healthy competition on teams is great, and that's something we didn't really have last season. And so with the depth has helped us with getting better and pushing each other to get better. And in practice, it's hard to score. That kind of thing I think is really, really good for our team in general.
The record seems to be similar to last year's preseason, but there's a different feel going into the conference play this year. Talk about that.
Yeah, I think we played a little bit tougher competition. So, we've gone to Kentucky and we've done that. We played, even the losses we have are to really, really good teams that are going to win a lot of matches in conference. And so I think we're confident, but we know what's ahead of us. We're not going to be, naive to the fact that we're going to play some of the two top 10 teams. But we're going to go in with our heads high and our shoulders back and say, bring it, and they have to play their best to beat us and vice versa. So, yeah, it's going to be a really fun weekend.
How did the non-conference slate of 12 games help develop a pretty young team with half the team being new into Big Ten play? What are you going to use from the stuff that you learned through the first month of the season for now the remaining 2 months?
Yeah, I think it was great. We got pushed. We got put into some really tough situations. Kentucky pushed us in ways we hadn't seen before, where we're down big in sets and we have to come back and win the next set. Santa Clara pushed us in different ways as well. They serve and pass really well, pushed us in, defensively. And going into South Florida this weekend, it was its own unique challenge, where there was maybe 40 people there and we had to create our own energy and be our own, support system. So I think that's going to even help us going into this weekend, because the environment's going to be crazy, but all we have is each other and our little pod of, 30 people, however many people will travel with us. But, we have our squad, And so I think playing against tougher people just makes you tougher mentally and your game a little bit better going into the Big Ten play. We're going to play some really, really good teams across these next 20 matches, and it's just going to be fun to see how good we can get and how fast we can get good.
What's it like for you? I mean, second season going into coaching against Big Ten competition.
It's cool. I mean, now I actually know people's names on rosters and stuff, so that's good. And I kind of know what to expect as well. I mean, as a player, playing in these environments is different than coaching in these environments. I've tried to communicate things from the bench when I can barely hear myself and stuff like that. So, we're coaching against some of the best coaches in the nation, maybe the world. And so I can learn from what they do as well as what we do throughout the season. I think I'm just a little bit more confident going into, I kind of know what I'm doing a little bit more, which I think helps everyone feel better.
Steve said after Kentucky he didn't really show too much emotion of any celebration. I mean, what was that like for you? I mean, did you kind of show emotion, or were you kind of like Steve, we're just like, you know what, this is great, we still got it? I
was pretty excited, but I try to follow his lead on a lot of that stuff because I don't want to jump the gun. If he's going to want to play it cool, I'm going to be like, okay, I got to play it cool too. But I was pretty excited. I think it's a huge win for the program. I know the Kentucky-Indiana kind of history and rivalry with basketball and different stuff. So I know it was a big win for the school. But in those situations, I try to follow his lead, even though inside I was pretty excited that we got that one, on the road.
You mentioned Tyler playing two really good teams this weekend. How important was it you're coming off 2 undefeated weekends, how important was it to get some confidence going into playing some great teams?
I think it's great. I think going in and playing, some tough opponents in the last 2 weekends really has prepped us for this. And I think we play against pretty good competition in practice. I mean, you guys saw it. We had 4 guys on the floor blocking and doing different stuff. So we have a pretty good idea of what they might want to do. It's just whether we can execute and we can stop it. And I think going into our second season as a staff, we're a lot better at scouting and kind of knowing what the nuances are of the match and how to play in that regard too. But yeah, 2 undefeated weekends, I think, is great, but we're taking a whole step up in a whole different league now. So, and I think the team knows that. I think the staff for sure knows that. And I think we're eager to see what we can do and compete at the highest level possible.
What do you expect in this competition this weekend? Similarities or differences that you'll be facing in both those teams?
They're just really physical and they play really, really clean. They make you earn a ton of points. When you play some teams in the preseason, they give you a lot of points from hitting errors, service errors, that kind of stuff. And these 2 teams are going to force us to make plays. And it's on kind of us to be able to do that. And, they're physical and they play great defense, but we're pretty physical too. So I think it's just on us to not shoot ourselves in the foot with errors and things like that and really play as clean as we can.
After the Kentucky weekend, Steve still wasn't exactly sure what he thought the best lineup was. I mean, going into Big Ten play, do you feel like you have a picture of that now?
Somewhat. I think kids are still fighting for spots. I think the competition is healthy and it's good. And luckily with the depth, if someone starts to struggle, we can bring someone in off the bench and they kind of know what they're doing and they're able to compete at a similar level and they're kind of neck and neck. So I think we're still finding it, and it kind of just depends on matchups and different things. One player might be better at one thing against a certain opponent. But I think for the most part, we kind of have what we want down.
Going back to the physicality, Jackie and Deja have been really good this season. Are they going to have to change some things that they do since they're going to be facing a more physical front line?
I think so. I mean, we're just going to run our stuff. I think, like you said, they've been really successful recently, and it all starts with ball control. So if we can control the ball, I think we'll be able to get them in good situations and move them around so they can kind of get open looks. And I'm excited for them. They're going to face some Recky's 6'7", 6'8", I don't know. And so they're going to get to face some pretty big kids, and I'm excited to see what they can do. I think they're up for the challenge. I don't think those 2, I'm pretty sure they're not scared of anyone. And if you know them, that's probably what they would tell you. And yeah, I think they'll have to maybe manage a little bit more, and our setters will have to give them a little bit higher ball, but I think we're going to do our stuff.
Kendall has been a little bit up and down coming back from an injury. Where do you think she is right now in that process of trying to get consistent play from her?
Yeah, I think she's still going through it. She's played volleyball for a month and a half in the last year. And so she's still kind of coming back and forth, a little, different injuries and things like that. We're trying to get her as much burn in practice as we can to get her ready. And who knows, kind of just depends on how she feels that day. So we're getting her some burn. hopefully she's back to full go soon. I mean, she's full go, don't get me wrong, but really healthy and feeling good about herself. So.
How important has she been? I mean, regardless of on the court or off the court. I mean, she's a fifth-year senior. How important has she been in with the younger players?
She's been great. I mean, I think last year she took Bree under her wing. I think this year she's kind of taken some of the other freshmen under her wing and kind of helped them through. She obviously knows what the Big Ten is and what the Big Ten brings, and so she's kind of been there to support and even help with the kids who transferred in. You know, this is how we do things on the road. This is what we were expecting, and that kind of stuff. So she's been awesome.
Any other questions for Krista? Thank you.
Thanks, guys.